recorded. And yeah, just a regular short introduction. This webinar has been organized by the Weekly Fasting Group, which is an international WhatsApp group of people who are united by this urge to fast in general, and in particular to fast between 24 and 36 hours every week to cultivate this habit. This group includes experienced fasters as well as newbies, and we all do it as a family together. So my name is Arik. I'm the facilitator of the group, and if you wanna join this group and you are not a member yet, then my details are below this video. And today we have with us our amazing Ivana, detox specialist, coach, life coach, fasting coach, spiritual guide, lots of other titles, lots of
You
knowledge.
name it.
Yeah, and she's going to talk about a subject about which I don't have any idea pretty much, vagus nerve. So let's see what it is, this mysterious nerve, and how it can contribute to our well-being, our balance, our fasting success, our healing success. So Ivana, over to you.
Okay, guys. So, all right. So let's demystify this apparently very mysterious vagus nerve. Now, so vagus nerve is a part of the autonomic nervous system, which regulates our basic vital functions of the body. Now, autonomic nervous system consists of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the word automatic simply means that it functions independently and without any conscious input or intent from us. So the sympathetic nervous system is excitatory in nature because it initiates the fight or flight response when we are subjected to some sort of stress or environmental challenge. It initiates the production of adrenaline, also known as epinephrine. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system, on the other hand, is often referred to as the rest and digest system because it conserves energy by slowing the heart rate and increasing the gland and intestinal activity by relaxing the sphincter muscles in our GI tract. The parasympathetic nervous system originates in the brainstem and sacral segments in our spinal cord. Now, it's important to understand that we cannot have the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system on at the same time simultaneously. And so there is a bit of a push and pull going on between these two branches because when one is high, the other one by default has to be shut off. So the sympathetic part mobilizes energy resources that enable us to deal with danger or, like I said, environmental challenges. But because such a high level of stimulation cannot be sustained over long periods of time without harming the body, the parasympathetic part acts as a counterbalance and reinstates homeostasis by de-escalating this arousal, thus helping us to return to the feeling of calm and peace. Now, the vagus nerve specifically is a part of the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. That is the relaxing and calming part of the nervous system. Now, vagus in Latin means wandering, which is fairly appropriate for the longest cranial nerve in the body that starts in the medulla part of the brainstem and reaches all the way down into the colon. I'm going to pull up this picture again that I shared before. Okay, so you can see it now, right? All right, so you see this is the medulla, then we have our spinal cord, and the vagus nerve has all of these branches going into all of the organs that you see listed here, from our eyes all the way down to, to our sex organs. And the vagus nerve innervates all of these organs and glands. Even though we talk about the vagus nerve in singular, it actually splits in two separate branches, each of them controlling the right and the left side of the body respectively, much in the same way as our kidneys, adrenals, lungs, legs, and arms do. To better understand the significance of the vagus nerve, we need to understand what the medulla does. Medulla is a very important part of our nervous system. It starts operating long before birth, and it keeps working all the way till our death. Now, you can damage other parts of the brain and live and be fine, but you cannot live with a severely impaired medulla. And depending on the severity of this injury, you can experience problems that could range from Parkinson's disease, or you can actually find yourself in a coma or vegetative state. Now, when you see those people in hospitals that are hooked up to machines, to ventilators, the reason they need a machine to breathe for them is because of their impaired medullary function. Certain chemical substances like opiates and alcohol and some other sedatives suppress our medulla. And if enough of them accumulate in that part of the brain, it can result in us becoming a vegetable or us dying. So this is how an overdose happens. As far as the functions of the medulla are concerned, the medulla controls heartbeat, respiration rate, vascular constriction. It also controls the cranial nerves for the chest and swallowing. In addition, it regulates our body temperature, metabolism, digestion, urination, defecation, sexual arousal, coughing, sneezing, swallowing, hiccuping, and vomiting. Obviously, by extension, the vagus nerve serves to support all of the above functions, in addition to many others. For example, production of bodily fluids like sweat, saliva, tears, urine, and those relating to sexual function. All of these fall under the vagal purview. The vagus nerve also enables the movement of the neck muscles that are responsible for swallowing and speech, along with the facial muscles that enable us to smile. It also provides taste sensations behind the tongue and informs the brain when our stomach is full or empty. And in this way, it regulates appetite and satiety. And last but not least, it controls our ability to relax and to manage stress, fear, and anxiety. Now, in detox, normally we focus a lot on the importance of the glands and their functions. And yes, of course, they're extremely important. But in order for the body to operate as a cohesive system, our glands have to communicate. They have to communicate with each other. They have to communicate with the brain and the various organs and tissues that they're in charge of. And how does this communication occur? Well, it's actually quite similar to the concept of a USB cable, where the vagus nerve is that wire which transmits electrical power and signals, thus serving as the information pathway that innervates all of the organs that it wraps around. So in essence, it relays information from the brain to those organs and then sends feedback back to the brain again. However, if our vagus nerve is damaged or impaired in some way, these signals either get scrambled or they don't get through at all, which can result in a great number of very unpleasant and sometimes even life-threatening symptoms and conditions. One of the quickest ways to check your vagal tone is to tickle the back of your throat with a Q-tip or a tongue compressor, and see if you have a good gag reflex. Now, when the gag reflex is either weak or absent, it's a good sign, an indication that your vagus nerve could be damaged and that it definitely is not functioning properly. Another way people check vagal tone is by observing heart rate variability. When our heart rate variability is on the low end, it also indicates that the vagus nerve isn't functioning properly or that we have poor vagal tone. And this will translate into lowered resilience to stress and resistance to illness. You see, when the vagus nerve lacks tone, things like emotional stress, trauma, fear, heat, or pain, or standing for long periods of time, or getting up too quickly, or even in some cases having a bowel movement, can trigger what's known as the vasovagal response. Now, vasovagal response occurs mostly due to a sharp drop in blood pressure when too much of our blood is diverted away from the brain toward other parts of the body, like the stomach, for example, right after we've had a meal. And this can result in dizziness, fainting, or lightheadedness. You can also get blurred vision, nausea, and ringing in ears. This can also manifest as our skin becoming really pale, cold, clammy, or we may break out in cold sweat. And in some cases, nausea and even vomiting may occur. I'm sure you know people, or you may be one of those people who throw up when they get really nervous. Now, as far as fainting goes as a result of the vasovagal response, an interesting thing that I recently read is that one of the side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine is that it triggers vasovagal response in some people, causing them to faint, which of course is indicative of neurotoxicity. There has also been some data suggesting that vagus nerve can be damaged by an immune response to vaccines. But of course, there's been no research on this because the people who would normally do this research are funded by the people who sell the vaccines. So there simply is no appetite for this type of research in the medical community, even though we know that many disorders associated with the vagus nerve dysregulations include OCD, Alzheimer's, autism, eating disorders, addictions, and many other mood and sleep disorders. So when you put two and two together, it's not that hard to see that vaccines are implicated in nerve damage through demyelination of the myelin sheaths. Let's look at some other factors that can contribute to the vagus nerve damage. Aside from sympathetic dominance, meaning long-term stress, any spinal cord injury or trauma, stress to the gastrointestinal tract can irritate or harm our vagus nerve. Other conditions that can damage it are diabetes, alcoholism, recurrent respiratory infections, stagnant bile, frequent vomiting, leaky gut syndrome, lymphatic stagnation, excessive use of spices, and antacids. Now, I don't know if you ever had this experience where you ate something that was really spicy and then you started to get the hiccups. Now, the reason that this happens is that our medulla is what produces hiccups via the vagus nerve. And when our medulla is chronic, meaning underactive, overstimulation of the vagus nerve will create hiccups. And a similar thing happens when, for example, you pluck an eyebrow or a nose hair and it makes you sneeze. Or I don't know if this ever happened to you, so you put a Q-tip in your ear canal and all of a sudden you start to cough. So these are some of the interesting things that people might not know are related to the vagus nerve and medullary function. Another thing that affects the condition of our vagus nerve is pancreatitis, which is brought on by B12 deficiency. Now, it's important to note that B12 and D3 are necessary for healthy nerve function. So it's not surprising that being deficient in these chemicals or nutrients will also affect the function of our vagus nerve. So what happens when our vagus nerve does not work properly? You see, because the vagus nerve innervates pretty much all of the organs involved in nutrient metabolism, including the stomach, pancreas, liver, and gallbladder, as well as the small intestine, vagal function affects the digestion and absorption of nutrients. Vagal activity becomes turned on as soon as food enters our mouth. And the vagus nerve then tells the stomach to start putting out digestive acids and juices and to start the movement of the gut. Now, it also transmits signals to the pancreas and the liver and gallbladder to start secreting insulin and dispense bile. Aside from the stomach and the small intestine, the vagus nerve also innervates our large intestine, or at least a portion of it, up to the splenic flexure. And this includes our cecum, our ascending colon, and our transverse colon. This means that when there's faulty or inadequate vagal signaling, we're going to have problems with both digestion and elimination. Now, the very long list of digestive and eliminative issues that are caused by vagus nerve dysfunction include inadequate production of stomach acid, delayed gastric emptying, which means food just sits around your stomach. There's a condition called gastroparesis where the stomach is basically paralyzed. So what happens, people will eat and then they automatically vomit because nothing happens to the food. There's no digestion that is happening. Then there's heartburn, acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, diarrhea, chronic nausea, and weight regulation issues. Vagus nerve dysfunction will also be implicated in the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, also known as SIBO. And of course, because it signals to the pancreas, you may also have blood glucose imbalances like hypoglycemia or diabetes. Additionally, because the vagus nerve also communicates with the diaphragm and the lungs, it affects breathing. There may also be difficulties with swallowing and loss of voice, because our windpipe, our throat is all controlled by the vagus nerve. Next on the list, we have the cardiovascular problems, which can manifest as irregular heartbeat and palpitations, as well as high or low blood pressure. These symptoms, of course, can be accompanied by dizziness and fainting. Chronic inflammation, autoimmunity, chronic fatigue, insomnia, seizures, epilepsy, and emotional disturbances like depression and anxiety are some other effects of vagal dysfunction. You may also experience incontinence or other related bladder control issues. Hearing is affected. People can lose their hearing, or they can experience the phenomenon known as tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. So as you see, this is a very, very long list of things that can be affected and functions that may not be carried out properly in our body when the vagus nerve does not work as it's supposed to. Now, there are many different methods that I'm going to share with you today that will help you to improve your vagal tone and relieve these symptoms and conditions. But before I get into these techniques and their various applications, I want to dig a little deeper into tinnitus, because Connie asked a question about it, and because it also happens to be directly related to the vagus nerve function. Now, tinnitus is a complex condition because it is caused by a combination of different factors. On the physical level, there's usually some damaged or obstruction either in the ear or the mastoid. And this could be due to genetic factors. This could be due to injuries or damage from recurring infections, or it could be as a result of chronic lymphatic stagnation. The other factors involved in this relate to the nervous system, and more specifically to the function of our adrenals and the brain as a direct result of trauma, which then adds an emotional component to this phenomenon. Now, there has long been established a link between tinnitus and chronically high levels of epinephrine, which is the neurotransmitter produced by our adrenal medulla in response to stress as a part of our fight or flight mode. And you probably heard or know that tinnitus is quite common in combat vets who had been repeatedly exposed to unexpected loud noises like explosions or gunfire. This means that some combination of sound and stress appears to be at the basis of this problem. Obviously, not everyone who has tinnitus has experienced war or explosions, but from my personal experience as someone who has complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, I can tell you that I have been intensely sensitive to sounds and noises to an extent that you might consider extreme. For example, a motorcycle suddenly revving up at the street light would cause me to jump. My heart would stop and my breathing would become severely constricted. And my whole body would just go numb, making me feel paralyzed. So even though I'm not a soldier, but as a survivor of physical and emotional abuse, you can say that in a way I did endure warlike conditions. On top of that, I also have a long history of unrelenting and agonizingly painful ear infections. So let me give you the working theory that is the leading edge information right now on tinnitus. As I already said, tinnitus is related to the production of epinephrine, which is released by the medulla portion of the adrenal glands in response to stress. And as you know, neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that are responsible for conveying signals from one nerve to the next. The release of epinephrine activates the vagus nerve, which then signals to the brain to increase the production of norepinephrine. Now, both epinephrine and norepinephrine are similar in their functions in that they both increase heart rate and blood flow to the muscles. They dilate our bronchioles and facilitate the increase of glucose and fatty acids being released into the blood. And all of this is designed to give us the energy and strength to either fight or flee. However, unlike epinephrine, norepinephrine has an additional psychoactive effect, which is related to memory, alertness, and learning. So when we are exposed to stress, and both of these neurotransmitters flood our system, it makes whatever is happening in our immediate environment at that particular moment important to the brain, which then assigns extra neurons in order to strengthen and enhance the memory storage of the emotions associated with that specific event. This means that the unpleasant or traumatic memory is much stronger and more vividly burned into our consciousness than a benign or a pleasant one. And so the reason we hold on to bad experiences is because the vagus nerve is telling the brain what to learn and when to learn it in order to protect us from repeating the same experience, and also to establish a blueprint that from that point on is going to be used to manage any other similar threat that may come our way in the future. So traumatic experiences provide the framework for our coping or defense mechanisms. And that's why they're more prominently wired into the brain and continue to affect our nervous system and drive our behavior long after they have passed. What also happens is that the brain links different stimuli together, like danger and sound, for example, which means that tripping one up will automatically trigger the other. And you don't need to have experienced combat to develop this type of an association or response. Let's say you grew up in a stressful environment where there was a lot of yelling, or maybe you had been startled or frightened by a loud noise. Or maybe, like myself, you suffered from ear infections or migraines that were accompanied by sensitivity to sound. Or maybe it was the combination of all of the above. We have established that pain and inflammation are stressors that activate sympathetic response, causing the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. And this hardwires specific triggers into our brain that become reactivated during similarly stressful times. So what happens, mechanically speaking, is that a stressor in the present moment produces a rush of epinephrine, which the brain connects to an old traumatic event associated with sound. And even though there may be no noise or sound in the present moment, one part of the brain is going to produce ringing sounds in the ear in an attempt to replace those missing frequencies. It's almost like the brain is trying to fill in the blanks for us and provide that sound that is missing from the present experience. And the problem occurs when the other part of the brain fails to prevent this simulated sound from reaching the auditory cortex. Now, because vagus nerve is a part of the learning system, by intentionally, selectively stimulating it to release neurotransmitters while exposing the nervous system to a different type of stimulus, we can successfully recondition this unwanted response. And this reassigning of neurons is known as neuroplasticity. And it proves that the brain can rewire itself. And this is the exact mechanism we use when applying the faster EFT method to release emotions and change our memories in order to heal trauma. During the study, it was discovered that listening to a high-pitched tone while electrically stimulating the auricular, meaning in the ear, vagus nerve, enabled the brain to rewire itself to stop producing the ringing sound in the ears. So improving vagal tone can have remarkable results in regulating and rebalancing a number of physiological and neurological conditions. What they do now is they implant an electrical device into the brainstem, which is then used to stimulate the vagus nerve. And this has shown to eliminate symptoms associated with chronic inflammatory diseases like Crohn's, psoriasis, lupus, arthritis. And it has also shown significant improvements in treating depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, chronic pain, and even Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And those people who had failed to respond to other forms of therapy. And the best part about it is that there was no serious negative side effects. The only exception was using the device to treat epilepsy, where some people experienced hoarseness and sore throat, coughing, or maybe difficulty swallowing. But the great news is that you don't need to get a surgically implanted electrical device to stimulate the vagus nerve in order to improve its tone. I'm going to tell you about the many different ways you can improve your vagal tone. And I'm going to start with the easy stuff. So number one, sun exposure. Makes us feel good, stimulates the vagus nerve. Earthing or grounding. Fasting, which is what most of us already do, because fasting increases the high frequency heart rate variability. Acupuncture and acupressure. Yoga, castor oil packs over the abdominal and liver areas. Activate parasympathetic receptors in the skin. They also directly affect the branches of the vagus nerve that control those organs. The abdominal massage and the honey massage that Dr. Filanov had shared with us in one of the webinars is another way to stimulate your vagus nerve. Then you can apply strong pressure to your eyes for a couple of minutes. That is going to activate the nerve that has its branches into our eyes. Tensing our abdominal muscles and releasing on and off will also help stimulate the vagus nerve. Probably the most important thing that you can do is adopt a healthy diet. And what I mean by a healthy diet is a raw fruitarian diet, at least 80% fruits. You see, only the fruits have enough electrical energy needed to rebuild cells, especially nerves. You cannot do it with vegetables, and you certainly are not going to regenerate nerve cells while eating dead, cooked food. You probably are familiar with Carillion photography, where you can actually see the aura of objects, things, people, animals, living creatures. And the difference between a cooked vegetable and a raw piece of vegetable is tremendous in terms of the energy that it supplies to our cells. And especially when you compare it to things like cooked meat, where you get nothing, is absolutely zero energy. So if you want to regenerate your nervous system, if you have vagus nerve damage or you have any other nervous system problems, your adrenals, your other glands, you must be on fruit. There are also herbs and medicinal plants that assist our nervous system with rebuilding. For example, the lion's mane mushrooms stimulate nerve growth and support gut health by helping to repair and protect the intestinal lining. Other herbs that are good for this include skullcap, gotu kola, and ginkgo biloba. Also, any herbs that stimulate circulation, like butcher's broom or horse chestnut. You want to bring as much blood and oxygen into all the cells as possible. Omega-3 fatty acids are also extremely important because they help regenerate the myelin sheaths. And one of the best sources of omega-3, which is comparable to the type of omegas that are found in fish, is a little herb called purslane. Another thing that can be really helpful is probiotics. And even though I don't encourage the abuse of probiotics, some people have such poor gut health that they would actually greatly benefit from the use of probiotics, but specific strains only. And I'm talking about B. longum and L. rhamnosus. Why? Because bacteria actually turn on the vagus nerve. Bacteria are involved in communications through the vagus nerve between our gut and the brain. What's interesting is that they've also found that people who are more social and interactive have better vagal tone. Now, why is this? My personal opinion is that the reason for this is that people who are more sociable have more diverse gut flora than those who tend to isolate. So, other things that we can do. Anything that engages the throat or the breathing apparatus. This means singing, humming, chanting, even gargling. It's not so much about us activating it and making it work harder or stronger. It's about flexibility. It's about resilience. It's like working out a muscle. Essential oils can be also very effective, specifically clove oil and lime oil. And you can use it to massage the neck by focusing specifically on the carotid sinus. Now, please be advised that pressure on the carotid will drop your blood pressure. And this is good for those who have a problem with high blood pressure. But be careful not to press too hard or you might pass out. Also keep in mind that blood pressure should be measured bilaterally, both arms, because most people are going to have a slight variation between right and the left side readings. So if you have high blood pressure, you should know if it's on both sides or if it's just on one side. And then let's say if it's only on your right side, then you should only massage the carotid on that side. Now, some other oils that you can utilize that are really good for parasympathetic function are juniper, lavender, chamomile, and frankincense. You can also incorporate these oils in the ear point stimulation. I'm going to show you some pictures of the points and tell you how to stimulate these points to improve the vagal tone. All right, so you see where the arrow is pointing, this little indentation. You can take your finger, stick it in there, and then gently massage. So you don't want to be pressing. It's almost like you just want to move the skin around. And you want to do this in both ears. And you want to do this for at least a few minutes while breathing deeply, and simply pay attention to what happens. So that's one point. So the second ear point is right here where you see the arrow pointing. Once again, you want to apply very light pressure, and it's more about moving the skin around. This particular point has been shown to help with tinnitus specifically. Now, you can also apply electricity to this point. You can either use a TENS unit, which has little electrodes that you can attach, or there's this acupressure device that you can buy that looks like a clicky pen, and it will just shock you. So you can try that for tinnitus. Another area is right behind the ear. Can you see that? So what you want to do is take your finger, and the arrow is pointing up. So again, you're going to pull the skin in the upward direction gently. And you're going to do that for a couple of minutes. Slow and gentle, not pressing anything hard, just pulling up the skin. And then you do the downward motion. Now you pull from up, downward, move the skin in a downward direction. And the third exercise is when you pull the skin away from the ear. You see that arrow there? Yeah. So you're going up, down, and then away off to the side toward the mastoid bone. Now, breathing techniques you can use for vagal stimulation, taking a deep inhale in, and as the air goes in the lungs, you're going to clasp your nose closed, your mouth is closed, and you're trying to exhale through the nose while you don't have the ability to actually release the air. And you do that for about 5 seconds to count of 5, and then you release. So inhale. So you might feel the air and the pressure building up in your ears. And you can set a timer for this for like 5 minutes. This is great for people who have high blood pressure problems or heart palpitations, increased rapid heart rate. This is going to calm you down really nicely. Now, I actually would like to get somebody to volunteer for this, because I want to demonstrate this technique. And this is a great technique for people to relax. So who wants to do this?
I can do
I
it.
can do it.
Yeah, he was
Ravitala
really-
wants to do that.
Okay, Revital. All right, so take your hands, clasp your hands at the base of your skull, where you want your thumbs to be basically on the side of your neck, right? So you don't want to be squeezing, you don't want to be pushing. All you want to do is immobilize your head like this, right? So what I want you to do is you're keeping your head straight on, and all you're going to do, I want you to look to the right, hard right. And if you want, if you spread your elbows really wide, no, don't move your head, Revital. Revital, the head faces forward, and the eyes go to the right. And you can pick a spot, and you don't want to let your gaze wander. The gaze points in the same direction. And you want to do that until you yawn. So just relax. Keep your gaze focused on one spot. So the head doesn't move. Eyes are the only thing that moves.
What happens if you don't feel like yawning?
You will. It might take a little longer for some people, but you will. You just have to do it correctly. Remember, eyes in one direction, eyes do not wander. Stay in the same position until you yawn. And once you do, you shift the gaze to the other side. And again, you hold it on the other side until you yawn again. And then you shift it again. See, you already Revital activated the parasympathetic response because you just sighed. You just inhaled, you released. See? You do this long enough, back and forth, yawning, and you're going to fall asleep. So this is great for people who have anxiety, and also for people when they're fasting and they can't sleep.
Ivana, and what is the position of the hands again below your head?
So the hands are at the base of your skull, and your thumbs are on the side of your neck, because this helps to lock your head in one position. You see your
okay.
thumbs.
And the hands are interlocked, yeah?
Correct. So you want your hands to cradle the back of your skull, so the head stays in the same position. You don't move. So you basically keep your hands are in the back just to keep your head from moving, to keep you from wanting to turn. You understand? So that you only move the eyes.
And do you apply any pressure with your thumbs on your neck?
You don't need to do it. No, unless your head just wants to keep going this way. So you want to like right there.
So the sole purpose of these interlocking hands is just to cradle the head, so that it
and to prevent yourself from wanting to turn the head. You understand? To keep the head in the same position. That's it. That's the only purpose of having your hands clasped behind your head.
Yeah, and then we look right.
And then you look sharp to the right, and or the left. You choose wherever you want to start. But once you do that, you hold that position. The gaze stays in the same spot. You don't move it until you yawn. Once you yawn, you shift the gaze to the other side. Okay?
Until you yawn again, right?
Correct. So with each yawn, you shift your gaze from one side to the other.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, I felt it made me want to take a deep breath.
Yes. So the idea is, when people are too overstimulated, it may take them a longer time to get there, but you will get there, and it works beautifully. So if you only want to just relax, don't do it too much, because it will put you to sleep. So it depends on how relaxed you want to get, right? So if you just want to sort of take the edge off, you want to calm down, do it a few times, right? But if you have a hard time sleeping, then do it until you fall asleep, because eventually you will, and you start to yawn and yawn and yawn, and you will just get really sleepy. All right. So this is a really neat technique, especially for those people who do extended dry fasting, like I do. And, after 7 days, it's torture. You can't sleep. Another thing, and this is something that has worked for me, cold showers or cold water dousing or icing. Cold activates parasympathetic nervous system. And this is why when I fast, the only way I can sleep is when I'm covered in ice. This is when I actually can doze off and fall asleep for a little bit. As soon as the ice melts, I'm awake and we start the process all over again. Cold also helps you breathe. And I've been saying this forever. You have breathing problem, especially on a fast. Get into the cold air. Either have your air conditioner or have ice or something like that. It will immediately help you breathe better. Another way you can stimulate the vagus nerve is by breathing in. You inhale. And as you breathe out, you start to move your muscles into a smile, and then the eyes into a smile. And then you start over. So inhale. Now, both our facial muscles and eye muscles are, of course, plugged into the vagus nerve. So by stimulating these muscles, we actually start to feel better. And this is why they say, even if you don't feel good, smile, even if it's a fake smile, because even a fake smile is actually going to make you feel better. And there's neuroscience behind this. And it's true. And this is why sometimes when I work with people and we do tapping and they get really sort of emotional, I tell them, just laugh, give me a fake laugh. And they go, what? That's crazy. I know you feel stupid, just do it. And what it does, it breaks that tension because it instantly shifts you, lifts you out of the sympathetic mode into parasympathetic mode. You get out of that fight or flight mode that is the hallmark of the sympathetic nervous system, and it automatically shifts you into the parasympathetic rest and digest mode. So another thing you can do, lying on your right side. Some of you may have seen this, thing. It sort of circulates on Facebook or other websites that you should be sleeping on your right side. And it's true. That actually does stimulate the vagus nerve. Better yet, when you are lying on your right side and you're doing deep breathing exercises, that is going to enhance the practice even more. And the last one I want to share with you is a little bit tricky, and it requires electrical stimulation. You could buy a clicky device that looks like a pen to shock yourself. I use this, which does the job. This just electrical device to tighten the facial muscles, right? For like lifting the face. But the idea is all you need is an electric shock. You just need to shock yourself, basically. But there's sort of a sequence here that can get a little bit complicated. So see if I can show you. So your belly button, right? Left off to the belly button, right? So you're gonna locate your belly button. You're gonna start with the right. So while you have your finger behind your earlobe in that indentation, right? You're either gonna click the electric pen that's gonna shock you. You're gonna go here, here, here. Then you're going to take 3 fingers here at the crown. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna repeat here, here, here. Then you're gonna move the 3 fingers to the middle top of the head. You're gonna repeat the same thing. Right, middle, left. So we're moving from right to left. Then you're gonna take the 3 fingers to the hairline. You do the same thing. Shock, shock, shock. And 2 fingers on the eyebrows where we do the tapping points. Same thing. Doing this in this sequence is going to reset your vagus nerve. Okay? Is that clear? So do you want me to go over this again, or are you guys good?
Where do you get that device?
You can buy it on Amazon. It's about $17, $19. But like I said, you don't have to. Like I use this and it works. You just provide a spark of electricity. So
How do you call it? What is the name of the device?
if you go on Amazon and search for acupressure vagus nerve stimulator, it's gonna come up. And it literally looks like a pen, like a black clicky pen that you click. And when you click it, it releases an electric pulse. Somebody wants me to explain this again?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
each sequence is going to be started off with applying the shock to the right side off of your belly button, center of the belly button, and then left. So right, center, left. Now you are doing this at first while you are pressing behind your earlobe, right? So first you do this with one ear, whatever your hand, like I'm right-handed, so I'm holding my left finger, behind my ear. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3. Then I go to the other ear, repeat 1, 2, 3. Then I take 3 fingers, crown of my head, do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. Middle of the head, 1, 2, 3. Hairline, 3 fingers, same thing, boom, 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 zap. 2 fingers, eyebrows, zap again. Okay? Is that clear?
Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be recorded, so if
Yes.
it's unclear for someone, they will be able to just rewatch it.
Okay. And if you want, I can send you, Arik, the link of the device that you can buy, or if you have anything else in your house that provides electric shock. Like I said, I use this.
Yeah. We can post it. Yeah.
You know,
In case someone is
and
interested.
so that people can buy it for themselves if they want
Absolutely.
to.
Absolutely.
And if you get that clicky thing, you can also use it to stimulate your ears. Okay, same way. Oh, another point in the ear I forgot about. Inside your ear canal, but the back of it. So you want to do, you can either stick a Q-tip in, you're not going deep, just a little bit, and you push against the back wall of the ear canal and just gently move it around. Again, we just want to move the skin around, and you do this for a few minutes. All right, so, but the idea is that you want to stimulate various parts. You don't want to just be always doing the ears or, this type of breathing, because specific areas will stimulate specific branches of the vagus nerve. Okay, so like the electric shock is going to stimulate the abdominal, it means the digestive organs, it's going to stimulate the head, right? It's going to stimulate behind the ears. So this one covers sort of everything, right? But certain ones like the ears will only work with the head. If you're doing the massage on the neck, it's going to be stimulating the nerves or the tentacles of the vagus nerve that control the throat, breathing, and so on. All right. So that's the idea. Do you have any other questions about this or anything else?
Hello, Ivana.
Hi.
Hi, this is Ravi from India. Ivana, two interesting points you were talking.
Yeah.
The first thing is about the cold showers.
Yes.
And and the second one is about the vaccine showing some adverse effects on the system.
Yes.
So the first point is that we live in cold places here. So there are people who stay in cold places, even US, UK, or India. So how can they manage this cold showers? Because sometimes it happens that it's too cold and we can't put the cold water on the body. So this is one thing.
What do you mean it's too cold? I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you saying that
the weather here, the weather, it's freezing weather here.
Mm-hmm.
So if we sometimes have cold water showers, it's not that easy in minus temperatures or something.
Well, people do it, and that's the whole point, and you get adjusted. Now, personally,
yes.
It's very hard for me, especially if you have low thyroid. It's going to be very, very hard for you to douse yourself in cold water. And actually, the correct temperature for this should be 6 degrees Celsius. But you build up, the idea is that you build up tolerance to this. All right, so maybe you can start not the whole body, maybe just the head. So you sort of, have your head over the sink or over the tub, and you just throw some cold water over the head, and then you sort of work your way up to the whole body. But yeah, also check out the Wim Hof method.
Okay, yeah.
Because he utilizes both cold and breathing. Very powerful, very, very powerful technique. And you work your way up. So you start maybe like with 1 minute in a cold shower. So when you're taking a shower, toward the end, you switch the water all the way to cold. And then, you count to 60 and then you get out. But the idea is you work your way up to like 5 minutes or so. All right. So the body will build up tolerance. Yes, it's hard. I know it's very hard for me. And especially if you have low thyroid function and you're like cold on the inside, you're always freezing, you're not going to like how this feels. But when you are fasting, you get so hot, it's like combustion inside of you. You feel like you're going to combust. And at that moment, I love the cold. I can't get enough of the cold. It's like, it's very difficult for me to fast in the summer. The last fast I did was the summer fast. I'll probably never do it again. My electric bill was almost $300 because I had to sit in front of AC this close, in front of air conditioner. That's the only way I could like function. So it's always better when the weather is naturally cold. So then you can go outside and you feel so much better. It's unbelievable. The difference, the shift that you feel like you literally come back to life. You come from feeling like you're dying, you can't breathe, you can't do any, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God, I feel fine. I'm good. This is great. You know? So it depends. Like, you may not be able to do this on a daily basis, but when you're fasting, trust me, when you are in that state where you have difficulty breathing or you're really hot, because literally your molecules are speeding up, your body becomes the incinerator. Every single cell burns up waste internally. You get so hot, it's unbearable. And that moment, I love the cold. I cannot refreeze my ice packs fast enough. I cannot sleep at all unless I have ice on me everywhere. That's the only thing that calms me, and just I doze off almost instantly. Otherwise, sometimes you sleep like 15 minutes a day. That's all you get, because your nervous system is so overstimulated. And the reason this happens is that when we fast, we do produce massive amounts of epinephrine. Why? Because epinephrine is how the body signals to the liver to break down glycogen so we can get sugar. So when our blood sugar is low, we have no food or water coming in, the body starts to produce hormones to get nourishment. So now you have this epinephrine. Epinephrine is adrenaline pumping, and this is what makes it so difficult to sleep. And this is sometimes also why people will have really high blood pressure, because one of the functions of epinephrine is to bring up the blood pressure, right? People will have heart palpitations. So in a moment like that, having that cold come in just calms everything down.
Okay. So the second part of the question is regarding the vaccine.
Yeah.
So I clearly understood your theory, which is really really practical. I mean, the vaccine affecting the vagus nerve and also the central nervous system. There were, of course, many cases which I've heard personally too. So there are various organizations in which, in India, and we are being forced to vaccinate ourselves. And it is leading to several complications even after getting vaccinated, many getting COVID-19 immediately after vaccinating or something. So if we are forced to vaccinate, can we get this chemical shot out of our system by fasting?
Well, Dr. Filanov, if I don't know if you watched the webinar, actually said that the best way for the body to be able to withstand or sort of defend itself against this, the neurotoxic effects or the whatever chemical effects are there, is to get the shot on day 4 of a dry fast. Because on day 4 of a dry fast, the body is overly acidic and it doesn't accept things into itself. You understand?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then after that, you need to fast for another at least 24 hours after the shot to make sure that none of it sticks, basically. So that's what he said. So if you have to get the shot, go on a dry fast. Get the shot on day 4, continue to fast for at least another 24 hours. I say go for at least 2 days just to be sure, if you can. Now, the problem is not everybody can go for, 5 days on a dry
Yes.
fast. It
Yeah.
can be difficult. So I understand the issue there. I don't know, he didn't say, I don't know if they would not work the same way with a water fast. So
So you say that if we go on 4-day water fast and then we can take this on 4th
I
day?
don't believe that it would work the same way, no. Because water fast is not as potent, it's a completely different mode of operation, how the body works. When
Okay.
you are dry fasting, the body is like a self-contained closed system in a way, an almost closed system, where nothing comes in, and therefore the body maintains homeostasis, hormones, electrolytes, everything. As soon as you introduce anything into the body, even water, that completely throws the body into a different dynamic, because now it has to deal with external chemistry, with processing other things that are coming in, even if it's just water. It no longer is a closed system, you understand? So it no longer operates in the same way.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't believe that a water fast would offer the same protection.
Okay. Okay. When one thing I want to share, and I want to hear your insights, is I have been a sun gazer, and
Mhm.
I have been, of course, practicing grounding since a year, and my cravings have gone down. Um, uh, I'm also practicing this sunbathing and some qigong breathwork, the small things. So despite all these things, still I have some cravings, and sometimes when I fast, I battle these cravings.
Are they
Can you
specific? So the
craving, food
thing,
craving, food craving,
I know, but are they specific for, like, some people will crave sugary stuff? Like, are they specific
coffee,
to
coffee,
coffee? Interesting.
and sometimes some salt, but mostly coffee.
Uh-huh. Well, it could be a couple of things. One, coffee is a stimulant, and when you're fasting, your adrenals, if they're weak especially, you may feel really like you don't have enough energy. So the body will make you want coffee because it knows that coffee artificially stimulates and gives energy into the system. But what also happens is that when you are detoxing certain residues from the body, you will experience them as cravings. Okay, I had an experience where I was craving alcohol during a dry fast, and I don't drink alcohol.
Okay.
But I come from a family where people have been alcoholics, so I have genetics of people
Oh,
who are alcoholic. You understand? So
yes, I do.
sometimes what you experience as a craving is actually a substance that is leaving the body, that is being removed, that is being cleaned out. And on its way out, you actually can sort of like taste it. And I have had same thing. I've had cravings for coffee. I don't drink coffee. I used to drink it a very long time ago. I don't drink it anymore. But on dry fasts, like day 8, 9, oh boy, I want that coffee. Especially there's a commercial on TV where it's like they're for a coffee drink or something. I want it so bad. I fantasize about it. But then what happens? You leave the fast. You don't want anything to do with it. So understand that this is happening in the moment. And also we have cravings for things that we have adopted as coping mechanisms. So when we are under stress, we're emotionally sort of stretched really thin, because a fast is a stress on the system. The body is going to initiate protocols that are coping mechanisms. So, for example, if coffee used to be a coping mechanism where I'm not feeling good, it's a good pick me up, it's a mood booster. All of a sudden, the lights turn on, right? I'm perked up and alert. So the body is going to give you the signal, trying to sort of reinstate that condition, and it's going to make you think of things that used to do that for you.
Okay. Okay.
But
Thank you.
what you can do, you can go back and watch. I did 2 webinars on emotions, and also tapping, faster EFT, where when you have a craving, you can actually de-escalate it. Now, you don't have to do tapping. There are many different ways of doing that. So let's say you have a craving, okay? Can you sort of like recreate it in your body? Like, how would you experience it?
Okay. It feels, because I live in a society where people get together, and then the smell of the coffee will just seduce me into that.
But what is it?
triggers.
But this is important too, because tapping is not about tapping, it's about aiming on specific things. So is it the coffee you crave, or do you crave connection that comes with having coffee with people? You understand? Because that's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
emotional need. Because that's an emotional need. That's not a need for coffee.
It's personal thing, actually. Rather than being in the society, it happens that when I have a sip, it will just satisfy my desire for that.
When you have a craving, what I recommend doing, like, go into your body, and it's almost like put your tentacles out and figure out what that craving feels like. Is that an actual sensation in your body? If it is, where do you feel it? Find it, localize it. Is it in your stomach? Is it in your mouth? Where is it? What does it feel like? All right. Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have substance? Is it just, a picture? What is it? Is it a feeling, an emotional feeling? You just feel cozy, or you feel like, find what it is. Find
Yeah.
it, locate it. All right. Then you go in there. But what you want to do is you want to amplify it, make it as strong as possible.
Okay.
And have some sort of representation of it. For some people it could be a void, it's like a black hole that just sucks everything in, and it needs, you understand, it wants that coffee. For some people it could be an actual thing. It could be represented, like you may actually perceive there's a coffee cup in there that's empty and just says fill me, you understand, and just keeps calling you. Whatever it is for you, find what it is. Have some sort of an idea that makes it a real tangible thing. You understand? Now,
Okay.
if it's a picture, it could, like, if you're craving coffee because you normally enjoy coffee with family or friends, and it's a social thing, and it's a community type of thing, and it's let's say it's a picture, like like a movie. Find it what it is, right? And then you're going to look at it. Now, imagine that you have a lever that turns on the light.
Okay.
And as you pull it, the light comes on slowly, but pull it all the way until the light is so bright that it completely whites out that thing that is the craving. Okay? Until you cannot see it anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Right? And with the intention that the light actually is going to dissolve that thing. Now, turn the light back down and see what happened. See if the thing is still there. Is it less? Now, if there's an empty space, we want to put something in place of that space, right? If there was a craving that was like a dark ball of energy or something like that, right? It was there. Now you had the light sort of wash it out, and it's no longer there. But now there's an empty space. And what you do is you go and you borrow emotional content from a different event in your life where you were really happy, fulfilled, and content. And choose a memory that doesn't have any sort of negative connotations. What I mean by this, for example, you may have had a dog that you really loved that dog. You were so happy. But then, the dog got hit by a car. So now every time you think of the dog, even though you love it, it makes you feel good, but now you're sad. You understand? So we don't want a memory that is mixed like that. Find a memory that is just pure joy, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It could be simple.
Okay.
But the idea is you want to stimulate the feeling. You want to produce it. You want to sort of, again, the same way you made the craving real as a thing into something, what it is, you're going to make that feeling the same way. And then you're going to place that in that empty space where the craving used to be. because we don't want to leave a hole there, right? Because it will just continue to want more stuff. And you can do this, or you can do tapping. Similar concept, but instead of doing the light exercise, you have this idea, the feeling, you aim at it, you know what it is, you know where it is. But when you do that, you don't want to stay in it. You want to leave it, because when you are in that feeling, you are in a trance. And by the way, doing these breathing exercises with eye movements will also help you snap out of it.
Okay, yeah.
You understand that this will also
Yes.
help, because when you are in that craving, you are in a what we call bad trance. The reason you have a craving, because it's a coping mechanism. And the coping mechanism is to alleviate the fight or flight mode where you feel threatened. You see? So stimulating the vagus nerve moves you out of that fight or flight sympathetic mode into parasympathetic mode. So that alone is going to help to reduce the sensation. And then you tap on it. So first you identify, you know where it is, and then you tap. I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, I release and let go. Grab your wrist, inhale, flow it out, peace. Then you check back again. Is the craving still there? If it is it stronger? Is it less intense? 0 to 10, what is it? And you keep going until you get it down to 0. All right?
Okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ivan.
Yeah,
Namaste.
I just wanna
Thank you.
repeat again that we have the whole webinar by Ivana on this technique of fast EFT. So what she demonstrated right now, it is all explained in detail in this webinar. So you're
Yes.
all welcome just to get to the channel of the group and watch.
Okay. So actually, I've written personally today to Ivana in WhatsApp regarding
Was that you?
Yeah, it was me, Ravi. And the case was about one of the participants in this webinar. Her name is Sally. So she has been battling some chronic fibromyalgia, and yeah, she's there.
Is she
She can
here?
talk.
Is she on the
Yeah,
call? Is she on the
yes,
call?
she's on the call. Yes,
Oh, hi, the woman that's waving. Hi.
yes,
What's her
yes,
name?
yes.
Sally?
Hi, it's
Hi,
Sally.
Sally. How are you? All right. So I looked at this briefly, and boy, I mean, it reads like a novel. I'm sorry. This is, this is horrible that you have to deal with it. So I'm going to read the symptoms and tell you what's involved here. So depression, that's your parathyroid gland, and adrenals, both parathyroid and adrenals. And I have your eyes somewhere. Anxiety, that's adrenals. Brain fog, lymphatic stagnation. I had a brief look at your eyes. Your gut needs major work. Your central nervous system is also, I'm sorry to say, in a degenerated state. Now, your central nervous system is the pupil. And if you look at your pupil, how much black there is around it. A healthy pupil is when you have a nice, clear sort of border, dark brown, no, jagged edges, nothing. So the pupil is both the stomach and your spinal cord, your central nervous system. I already can see from your eyes that you have a really weak nervous system. And then that outline around the pupil, that sort of like star-shaped, outline, that's your GI tract. Highly reactive, that raised, very thick, full of lymph, highly reactive, sensitive, autonomic nervous system. All right, so your pupil is your central nervous system. Your collarette around the pupil is your autonomic nervous system. So nervous system is down, all aspects of it. All right. So you're going to have oversensitive nerves. You're going to have no energy. You're going to have problems sleeping. And of course, that's vagus nerve. As I read your, symptoms, so many of them fall right in line with everything that we were talking about. So you have to clean your gut. Okay, what type of diet are you on currently?
I'm just really starting the fruitarian raw diet.
Okay.
Yeah, with
Um,
ravi. So
How long? A week? 3 days?
it's been about a week now. We did a
And
yeah.
you're doing all fruit?
Yeah.
Okay. And before that, were you eating like everything? Meat,
I
eggs,
was
dairy, or what?
no vegan,
You were
completely
vegan. You were cooked.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So good. Well, the reason I asked because you could actually push the envelope a little bit. Now, I would not recommend for you to do a lot of extended fasting. If you were going to do fasting, do intermittent, because your lymphatic system runneth over. And when you are going to go into a fast, you're going to release all of that garbage. It's going to start, you're going to be in a lot of pain. The most accelerated way you could go about this is to go on a solid food vacation on juices, but grapes with lemons or limes and ginger. Nothing compares to that.
Okay.
That is cancer protocol. That is, people who have been fasting like 10 days dry fasting did not open up their kidneys, but they opened up their kidneys on grapes, lemons, and ginger. I had a leukemia client, I talked about him, who was on juices for 6 months. He didn't get anywhere. 4 days on this protocol, his kidneys cracked open. Black crud started coming out of him. Like he was pooping himself. He couldn't hold it, just was coming out of every hole. You understand? Like this is how incredibly powerful grapes are. There is nothing stronger than grapes. A lot of people make the mistake of just doing fruit or doing raw. It's important what you eat on a raw diet or on a juice feast. It's important what type of fruits or vegetables you juice. You have to be intentional about the things you put into your body. They have to be doing something. They have to be serving a purpose. Like there's no point in going on a juice feast that you're going to be juicing carrots. It's useless. You have to bring in chemistry into your body that is highly astringent, that's going to loosen things up. At the same time, you have to be prepared that you're going to have some strong detox reactions. You're in pain now. You're going to be in pain when you start to move things out of your body. Unfortunately, this cannot be avoided. And it all depends how aggressively you want to move through this process. You can take this slow. Now, what's going to happen when you go raw for maybe even like for some people, even like for a month, you're going to feel great. Inflammation is going to come down. You're going to feel good because it's just you're removing irritants from the system. But then what happens? You start to hydrate the lymph. And this is when people start to feel bad. This is when they start losing their teeth, their hair starts to fall, and I think everything's going wrong. No, this means you're mobilizing garbage. It can take sometimes, depending on how locked in your lymphatic system is. You have some congested lymph nodes. I saw your thyroid is bad on both sides, with kidneys, adrenals, pituitary, liver, gallbladder. Now, I believe you had the gallbladder taken out. Did it ever rupture?
No, it was close to, but no.
Because you have a huge weakness there, but when
I'm
organs,
not really,
glands,
I'm not really sure what happened. I'm not really sure what happened, but I know something bad happened. But they lost, inverted commas, lost my notes at the hospital.
well, the thing about surgeries is that surgeries don't show up in the iris. Only trauma where you felt the pain. So when you have surgery, you're anesthetized. You don't feel the pain, right? Because the iris records shock to the nervous system. But if you like broke your leg, you would see a mark appear in that sector of the iris. So when I look at your eyes, what I see is what it looked like before it was taken out. And you have a huge, huge genetic weakness there. degenerative. So you do unfortunately have some weakness in your genes. You know, this is inherited. This is nothing you did. You understand? You came into this world in chronic condition in many different places. But it doesn't matter. The body can reverse anything. So we're looking at your adrenals, anxiety, the Raynaud's. This, you know, for this you need to increase circulation. Butcher's broom, horse chestnut, you know, hot and cold showers where you alternate. That moves lymph really, really well. People have gotten rid of their melanoma doing this, like melanoma literally fell off, but on a daily basis, you're hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. That creates lymphatic movement. Then fibromyalgia, that's your adrenals, that's epinephrine. This is when you're inflamed and in pain. It's sort of your nerves are so irritated. Hypothyroidism, huge genetic weakness in your thyroid. Now, on top of that, you have pituitary and you have hypothalamus. So, you know, hypothalamus controls the pituitary, which in turn controls thyroid, parathyroid, adrenals. All of your glands are down. It's like, you know, it's like you hire workers and nobody's doing anything. They're sitting around smoking cigarettes all day. So this is your glands, Sally. Okay, nobody is doing any work. So of course you're going to have all kinds of problems. When your pituitary is down, you're going to have endometriosis. You're going to have you're not going to be able to either conceive or carry to term. This is all pituitary. And endometriosis, of course, is really acidosis in the body, because what do acids do? They melt things. You develop adhesions. Some women, their uterus is freaking welded to you know, to their intestines, and they have to cut it. So it's all high acidosis. You must start with the gut. For the gut, if I were you, and if you can handle it, grapes, lemons, and ginger. Okay. You know, per serving, I would do, you know, 24 to 32 ounces of juice and of grape juice. You can also blend the grapes if you can't juice them. You don't have a juicer, so you throw them in the blender. They blend very easily. They're very high water content, so it comes out almost as thin as juice. And then what you do, you squeeze per each serving of that, let's say 32 ounces. So for 24, you do maybe like 3 lemons or limes. Per 32, you do 4 lemons. And then you do a nice big chunk of ginger that you're going to juice, and you're going to drink that. Okay? This is going to help open up your kidneys. This is going to create lymph movement. It's going to pull on your intestines. You do need some herbs for your GI tract. If you cannot get access to Dr. Morse's herbs, and also his herbs, I understand, are expensive, and there's customs and tariffs and all of that. You know, get yourself some Cascara sagrada, plantain leaf, some white oak bark, mix it together, take it with your herbs. Now you also need kidney herbs, like your couch grass, juniper berry, horsetail, oat straw. I mean, you can just Google kidney herbs, you know, and take them, because you need to focus on major areas. You need your kidneys, you need your gut. Now, glands. For you, I would recommend a brain glandular. And then I would do some adrenal herbs, but for you, stick to things like holy basil. Avoid ginsengs. Stay away from ginsengs, stay away from rhodiola, because you have, what I think you have is cortisol dysregulation, where you can't sleep, but you're tired but wired. Yeah,
all the time.
All right, so this means you're producing too much cortisol. Your cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning and at the slowest point in the evening, so you can turn off your mind and sort of fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
So when this is not happening, but we don't want to turn cortisol off. We just want to sort of curb it. So lemon balm tea. Start drinking lots of lemon balm tea,
Okay.
right? This is going to relax your nervous system. If you can't sleep in the evening, magnolia bark. Now, this is more relaxed and it's going to put you to sleep, should put you to sleep. So, see how you feel with it. If it doesn't put you to sleep, then you can take it during the day. An added bonus of magnolia bark is that it kills liver flukes. So you get a twofer there, right?
Yeah.
And magnolia bark has been shown in studies to be as effective as pharmaceuticals for anxiety. All right. So holy basil, lemon balm. You can try ashwagandha. Some people can find it a little strong, but things like ashwagandha, holy basil, and schisandra are adaptogens, so they don't stimulate you. They make the adrenal gland adjust to whatever it needs, right? But stay away from things like rhodiola or St. John wort or any ginseng like Siberian ginseng, Korean ginseng, because overstimulate your already very sensitive system. You don't want that. So you want things that are soothing and calming.
Yeah.
Lemon balm is your friend. What else? Hypothyroidism. Now, you could take a glandular for this, but the most important thing I would recommend is some sort of seaweed, either Irish moss, bladderwrack, or kelp. And take larger amounts. I did not get significant improvements, and I take kelp. I was taking it in granulated form, and because I went off salt, I was using it to sort of flavor my salads. And it wasn't until I started to consume about like a tablespoon a day where I started to see real changes. I was like, oh, it's the dosage, stupid. So because on the recommended amount is 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is like, okay, it's nothing, was doing nothing for me. And I have low thyroid. But when I started to take a lot of it, my temperature, rose. The most amazing thing that happened was sleep and dreams. You see, the iodine in kelp detoxifies the pineal gland, because iodine is a halogen, just like chlorine, fluoride, and bromide. So when you take in enough, it actually displaces those molecules. So you start to take enough kelp or Irish moss or whatever it is, you start to detoxify your pineal gland, you start to sleep. Not only that, I started to have out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams. It was unfreaking believable. I was like, oh my God, now we're cooking. So it's about the dosage. But the way I would do it, like you don't stay on it permanently at that dose. You start, so it's almost like you're doing initial loading. So you're taking like about tablespoon, maybe, for 2 weeks. And then you cut it in half, right? And then you stay on that for another 2 weeks and see how you feel. And then you adjust. If you feel like you need a little more, you take more. The idea is you get it down to the recommended dose where it should be enough, right? But that will also really help you with your bowel movements, because thyroid is in charge of metabolism, how quickly the food moves through the digestive tract, right? So that's going to help you with that as well. Let's see. So we talked about tinnitus. I recommend that you candle your ears. It made a tremendous difference for me. And I pulled so much crud out of my ears, it's unbelievable. And what happens, it's almost like you pull some stuff up and you free up some room, and then more stuff comes down the pike. You understand? It's like there's this sort of a slide. This stuff just keeps rolling down. Right? Once you free up some space, it's like you have now an exit point. The body keeps shuttling more and more stuff. So in preparation for one of my fasts, I, like, over the period of 2 weeks, I did like 20 candles per each ear. And I kept doing it until stuff coming out. But then a couple of months later, again, more stuff starts coming out. So it's just, as you move things around, as you know, because everything is agglomerated. That lymph is like, I tell people, it's like a frozen ice cube. It's like sewer water when you freeze it, and then it's sort of floating in a glass of water, right? So you're drinking the water, you kind of smell it, it's kind of, you know, but it's okay, it's tolerable. But when you melt that ice cube, which is when you start to mobilize lymph, and now that sewer water now mixes with everything in that glass. So now try drinking it. No way you're not going to taste that or smell that, right? This is what happens. So I would stay clear of lymphatic herbs, with the exception of plantain leaf. It is very gentle, polar. Although some people may find it really strong. I've had some people say they can't, for example, they can't take Hilal tea. It has plantain leaf in it, because they're just so backed up, you know, up to their eyeballs, that even a little bit makes things explode. So you have to see what it is. So no lymphatic herbs until you get filtration going. You need to have somewhere to shuttle the garbage through. Otherwise, it'll just percolate. You'll feel horrible. So no lymphatics until you have a way to get rid of the stuff that you are mobilizing. Now, liver, like say you have liver, you have also a spleen problem I see in your eyes. Fatty liver is actually the result, again, of adrenal issues, because liver and adrenals, they sort of work together. And specifically cortisol, when you make so much cortisol, because cortisol demands sugar, demands glycogen from the liver. So the liver keeps making that glycogen. So now the sugar turns into triglycerides, the fat, right? So excessive cortisol is what causes liver problems. Also, cortisol is responsible for recycling bile. So again, affects the liver in that way. So this is how your adrenals mess up your liver, right? So you got to be working on your adrenals, and you got to work on liver. That abdominal massage that Dr. Filanov showed us, got to do that. It's excellent. This is going to help break things up. It's going to sort of move that lymph. And I would also recommend, in conjunction with that, obviously the honey massage, but also castor oil packs. You know how to do those, right?
No.
All right. You get organic castor oil, hexane free, that comes in a glass bottle. I don't know if you can get this in the UK, but here we have the brand called the Heritage Store. It's excellent brand, pure, clean. So what you do, you buy, also get yourself a piece of flannel, something that's, you know, like unbleached cotton, something that has not been chemically processed. You get yourself a nice glass clean jar for storage. So what you do is you sort of soak the flannel with castor oil, right? And what I like to do is you do the massage first, right? So you sort of stirring things up, you get everything going, right? And you can also, before you apply the castor oil pack, you can apply some essential oils that, like lemon, something that's really astringent, that's going to sort of assist in more lymphatic movement. And then you put the pack on, you wrap yourself. I use ace bandages, avoid plastic, obviously. And then you apply heat on top of it for at least an hour. Now, even better is if you can sleep with it. And ace bandages are good for that because they're stretchy, so you can be more flexible, because the castor oil will keep working through the night. And you can do this for your thyroid. You can do this anywhere. This reduces inflammation. This releases any water retention. It stimulates the parasympathetic nerves. It's excellent. It actually encourages peristalsis in your GI tract. So all of that is gonna help you, you know, move things in your system so that you can actually get them out. Then what else we got? Cellulitis. So you need to get on some blood cleansers. I like sarsaparilla root, and teasel is another good one. And teasel is also excellent for the liver. Now, you do need to be on liver herbs. And if you get the brain glandular by Ancestral Supplements, it also contains liver. So it's going to help you automatically with that. Now, for liver, you know, we're talking about milk thistle, we're talking about gentian root, blueperum, artichoke, dandelion greens, stuff like that, good for the liver. Also, beetroot juice promotes bile flow, so we want to start decongesting the liver. Now, you may also want to get coptis, and coptis is great for both blood and liver. Coptis is a strong herb, bitter herb, but it's really, really effective. Now, you don't have the gallbladder, but you may still have stones in your liver, those, you know, cholesterol stones that are fatty. And Chinese gold coin grass is very good for breaking them up, because you want to sort of emulsify everything, right? So things are able to be released.
I don't know whether I put about heart murmur on there as well. I have a heart murmur.
No, but you have a heart weakness. I was going to tell you that's genetic. Both your aortic valve and your heart show significant weakness here. Migraines, that is stomach, that is gut, and that is backed up cerebellum. Doing enemas is going to help you with headaches. I would definitely recommend with your gut issues, you got to do enemas. And what happens, you see, your gut is connected lymphatically and through nerve channels to all the other organs and glands. Now, your sigmoid, which is the lowest part of your large intestine, that's the final portion before waste is eliminated, corresponds with the left kidney. So if you clean that out enough, it's going to help you. And that's easy to clean because it's right there. It's, you know, you don't got to go far. That's going to help you open up kidney filtration, at least on the left side. And cleaning out the gut is going to assist you with getting kidney filtration. So gut is priority number one. Well, kidney and gut sort of go hand in hand, but if you don't focus on the gut, nothing else is going to move out of your body. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. So your stomach, I said, is chronic, and a problem with chronic stomach. So you also probably have ulcerations, because it looks like stomach is hard and scarred and just in a really, really bad shape. Do you have any pain associated with stomach?
Yeah, all the time.
Slippery elm, it's very soothing to sort of put out the fire, basically. You can go to teas. If you're going to go on a solid food vacation, you get like a liver tea, a stomach tea, brew them all together and sort of sip slowly throughout the day. And when you do that, especially for the stomach, you're constantly delivering that soothing anti-inflammatory medicine. Okay, so I would recommend doing that. And work on your vagus nerve, because it's going to help you with your acid reflux, with your stomach, all of it. The reason why your stomach doesn't work is because of the vagus nerve impairment. So the stomach is not active, it's inactive, and it also has low acid. Now, what increases acid production is celery juice. It's very good for that. And it's also excellent for cleaning out your GI tract. So, you know, if I were you, start your day with celery juice, and then the rest of the day you drink grapes with lemons and ginger. All right, and you take your herbs. Now, it says here cystic condylitis, but I think it was cystic chondritis. the
Yeah.
inflammation of the, yeah, it's just nerves and bone weakness. And by the way, if you're doing the teas like Hilal and all of, kidney tea, also put some drops in your eyes, especially before bed. You're going to start to pull mucus through your eyes because you want to utilize every opening, every port you have, every hole you have, utilize it so the body can discharge. What works really well for dryness of the eye is castor oil. Just a drop castor oil, it will lubricate the eyes. But again, organic, hexane-free, in a glass bottle, because castor oil pulls, and you don't want it to be in a plastic bottle because it's going to be pulling whatever chemicals are in that bottle, right? Allergies, that's adrenals, sinus problems, all of that. And you can do, if you can get, you don't have to buy the 3-lung tea, just get pleurisy, get mullein and fenugreek seed, brew it as a tea, and neti pot with it. And drink it internally as well. It breaks up mucus in your lungs, everywhere. You have some back weakness, esophagus, throat is weak, nose, animation life. And see, when you have such a weakness in your animation life, this is where you have no energy. This is where, our will to live, motivation, feeling good, that's where it comes from. And you have a big line going through there. Also, your chest cavity, there's a weakness there, especially thorax, breast area on the left side, left breast, I would pay attention to. Spleen is weak. You have some drug deposits in your diaphragm, upper abdomen. And, any drug deposits, and you also have sulfur and all of that raised coloring around the pupil that's lighter, that's all fermentation. That's your candida. So the thing you want to do when you consume anything, even if it's juices, with juices, you can wait an hour, at least 2 hours before you eat something else. Because the way our gut works, things have to move through the GI tract. And if they're in transit and then you eat something else, whatever's been moving stops now. You understand? And the body stops digesting that and starts to digest what you're just putting in. So that food sits in your intestinal tract and it putrefies and it ferments. And this is where, gas comes from and bloating, and this is what creates candida. So when you have a gut like that, you have to sort of be more mono eater in terms of, fruits that you put in. Don't mix too many different things. And you have to take some time in between. Now, your ears are all backed up, very weak. Neck, left neck, shoulder. On the right side, neck is not so bad, shoulder's bad. But on the left side, both of them are out. Mastoid, so here's your tinnitus. Equilibrium, do you get dizzy? Because you have the equilibrium center is wonky, where you're gonna have problems with balance. Weak pelvis. So connective tissue is weak in general. That means you're so acidic that you're losing calcium and weakening the connective tissue. What else? Groin. Have you ever had a hernia?
Yeah, in my left side.
Yeah, it looks like you have really weak tissue there. Like either you have had it or you would be prone to it. Reproductive organs, super weak. You have a lot of work to do, but it's doable. You understand? You just have to sort of strap yourself down and keep the goal in mind where you're going and what it is that you want to achieve. And there will be times where you're going to be in pain, you're going to be inflamed, it's going to be unpleasant. Nothing you can do about it. In times like that, maybe scale things down, but don't go like to cooked food or even like salads. See, for example, if you were doing juices, go to smoothies and see if that's enough. If it's not enough, then I would then do maybe like blended bananas or applesauce, because you want to, for the food that you take in to be as unobstructive to the body as possible.
Yeah.
Because it's not the food that heals the body, really, the body heals itself. It's just the less work we give our body to do by giving it food to digest and eliminate, the more it can get done. That's why fasting works. That's the idea. You may have problems with your mouth, tonsils. Do you have tonsils, or were they taken out?
I have them, but I've got constant spots on
Yeah.
my back of my
Huge,
throat.
huge degenerative weakness there. So these are the areas that where you're going to feel it when you detox. You're going to have sore throats. You may get problems with your teeth, where people start to get to lose enamel. You do have the weaknesses there. You have a lot of lymph in there. Let me see. Right ear is a little better. Lots of lymph, but not so much structural weakness. Medulla is weak, and we talked about medulla. This is where the vagus nerve originates from, the medulla. This is what controls all of those, automatic functions in the body. Respiratory issues.
I do have problems breathing. I have to sleep upright at night because I seem to not be able to breathe properly. At night time, especially if I do go to sleep, I then can't breathe very well.
Yeah.
My daughter's been quite worried about that.
Well, the reason that happens is when we sleep, the body still produces mucus and then wants to clean up. So everything is sort of getting broken down because we go through at least partial autophagy during sleep. So the reason you can't sleep is that mucus is being sort of worked on and it expands, because when something is dehydrated, it's shrunken down, it's dry, right? But you start to hydrate it if it plumps up. So now it sort of expands and it blocks your airways. So it's very common. I used to have that big time. I used to take decongestants like they were candy, or I couldn't sleep. But then you just have to sort of wean yourself off. Inhaling 3-lung tea with some essential oils, really good. It's gonna help to mobilize that neti potting. It's gonna break that stuff up, help you move it out of your body. But unfortunately, you're gonna have to deal with these issues for some time. As you start to get your adrenals going more, the breathing will get easier.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful, Ivana. So grateful.
Well, listen, you can do it, but it's going to take some doing. But you can do it.
I've this has been sort of 10 years of not getting anywhere with doctors and being put on more and more medications, and
eventually medications stop working. What happens is that they stop working. They don't do anything anymore. Been there, done that. I wasn't in as bad situation as you were, but what you have working against you is your genetics. So you will have to work harder and to be more strict than somebody who maybe has better genetics. So one day at a time, and just keep doing it. And you know what? And the important part is, what I realized is I've been going through this for years, because at first I was approaching healing more from energetic avenue, if you will, but by trying to manipulate energy, doing energy healing and all of that, emotional healing, and it didn't work. Then I went the other way when I went all right, let me all focus on the physical body, and it wasn't enough. So finally I was like, all right, you have to put them together. And the thing is, behind our issues are always unresolved emotions and difficult relationships. So healing emotions must become a part of this journey. And there's so many testimonials of people who've been doing faster EFT, who had horrible fibromyalgia, who had cancers, and they didn't even do the diet, any other stuff. They just did tapping, but they were diligently working on their issues. Go into what your trauma is, find it. This is what I'm trying to release, work on it. And as you start to let that go, your body is going to start to flow more. You understand?
Yeah.
So you have to tackle both sides of it. You can't, doing one or the other is not going to get you where you want to go. You have to do both.
Thank you so much. Yeah, really grateful. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Uh, two questions, Ivana. The first thing is regarding the grape, lime, and the ginger
lemon.
juice, which you
You can do
mentioned.
either lemon or lime.
Yeah. So should we mix those things?
Yes.
Should we mix
Yes.
those three things? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And the second thing is you are insisting on having bananas. So, so doesn't it complicate the lymphatic system because of how dense the bananas are? Because they
We
have
were
a tendency
talking
to
about,
increase.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. But we were talking about when somebody is trying to actually diminish detox, because the detox reactions are so unbearable that they want to actually slow down detox. So bananas would do that. You understand? Yes, bananas are really starchy. They're very dense. They're great builders, great nutrition, not detoxifiers. And they're going to slow you down. But if you're in a position where you're detoxing so hard that you can't function, and some people, but you really can't get out of bed, you are laid out, then instead of going, so because a lot of people go immediately to cooked food, I say go take a more gradual approach. If you're on juices, go into just smoothies is enough to take the edge off, to make it bearable. And if it's not enough, then you go to, raw fruit, blended. And then you can go into bananas. And if that's not enough, then you go to raw vegetables. And if that is still too much, then you go and have something cooked. You understand? So the bananas were brought up in that context because yes, they do indeed slow down detox.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ivana. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for organizing
of course,
this.
of course, my
Very
pleasure.
grateful.
Yeah,
Of
so
course.
thank you.
Many thanks. Thanks to Ivana.
Ivana, by the way, how much lemon juice do you add to this grape juice? For example, if you take 30, you said 36 ounces or something like that?
32 ounces. For 32, have four whole lemons juiced.
Okay. So
Easy.
30, yeah, I guess 32 ounces, it's like close to
A
1
liter.
liter. A
I
liter.
think it's a liter. I think it's exactly a liter. Yes.
Yeah, so for 1 liter, 4 lemons.
Or limes if you prefer, or you can mix them. Fine, either
Okay.
way. And
Okay.
then
how
a
much?
nice,
How much of ginger?
big chunk of ginger. Yeah.
A big chunk of ginger. So
Big, not a little bit bitty chunk, not like this. Good chunk of ginger. Make it
Okay.
strong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, ginger is excellent for gut cleansing. It increases gut motility. It's great for the liver, for inflammation. Ginger is so good for everything. Like when I juice, I just put ginger into, lemon and ginger go into everything, basically, because lemon increases astringency. So if grapes are astringent, you put lemon into there, it amplifies the power of grapes even more.
Okay. Ivana, you were the other thing, the interesting thing which we're talking was enemas. So, does colonic irrigation help these cases? Colonic irrigation is very deep, so I don't know if you can
Yes.
throw some.
Yes, you have to be careful. People who are really, really impacted should not be doing colonic irrigations because too powerful. People get perforations of colon with this.
Okay.
Do you understand? When you have so much stuff in there and now you start, because you're so blocked up and now you start shoving water with with a great power, what do you think is going to happen? All this stuff is going to be pushed up and the walls of the intestines are going to be under great strain. So it all depends. You understand?
Yeah.
It can be good. you have more control with an enema. And the way you can do enemas in a way, and especially if you have a kolema board, or even you don't have to. It's about massage. You want to move the water. You want to take your time, because people like get the water in and they start to feel the pressure and they just go. No, you start to feel the pressure. You press the clamp closed. You move the water around. You push it up into transverse colon. You shift it around until you open up more space. Then you bring more water in until you feel the pressure. You understand? You want the water to go all the way down to your cecum, or at least into your ascended colon. So you have your sigmoid is here on the left. This is your descending, this is your transverse, this is your ascending. So the water starts coming in this way. And the best way to do this, if you are lying on your back, you understand, and have your hips lifted so that the water comes in and the bucket is somewhere high, right? And where it's close, where you can control the flow of water. So as it comes in, you gently pushing the water upwards, you moving it, you understand? You want to, this enables you to take in quite a bit of water. And the way I recommend people do enemas is that you do at least one, better two, enemas with just clean water to get the solids out, whatever is hanging loose there, get it out. Your third enema should be a retention enema that you're going to hold for 5 to 10 minutes. So the thing is, you need to clean out space, or otherwise you're not going to be able to hold it. And the retention enema should be astringent, which means you're going to put lemon juice into that water, or lime juice. You can add papaya leaf powder to it, right? Because you want astringency. So it's almost like, you know, it's like when you cook something and it burns on the stove and it's, you know, stuck to the bottom of the pot. What do? You put some water in and you let it sit, right? You soak it. And this is what we're doing. We're soaking our colon. So you hold that water that has lemon juice in it, and lemon is very astringent. It's like soap in a sense, right? It cuts through grease. It's astringent. Adding papaya leaf powder also, because papaya leaf contains very strong enzymes that break up proteins and fats. So that helps to sort of soften all of that stuff that's really dehydrated and hardened in your intestine. And once you get all the water in, as much as you can hold, then you try to hold it for at least 5 minutes before you release it, better 10, right? So you want it to sit in there. That way, the following day, when you have your movement, you get more stuff out. Now, excellent tip. Every other day, what you want to do is you want to take your castor oil, put it in 0.0 capsules, 4 drops per capsule, and freeze it. Freeze it completely. About 3 hours away from your last meal before bed, you take that. Now, when castor oil is frozen in a capsule like that, it bypasses most of your small intestine. So it does not act as a laxative. Do you understand? It doesn't actually break down until it reaches your large intestine. And when it's in there, it's no longer being digested. So all it does, it actually pulls on the plaque. So one night you do that. The following night, you're not gonna take that. You're gonna take it one night on, one night off. So on the off night, you're gonna take something that's a binder, like clay, charcoal, and psyllium husk. Because so what we're doing, we're loosening stuff up, right? Then we take like an intestinal scrubber that like magnet traps everything and helps to move it out, right? So one night you're going to be taking the castor oil, the following night you're going to be taking your binders, and you're going to sort of alternate. And that again is going to help you to clean out your gut even on a deeper level.
Okay.
Ivana, and to combine all those procedures with enemas, or it will work on their own without enemas?
Even better if you're doing enemas. because enemas, putting water in, softens things, right?
Mhm.
Hydrates, and then you take in the castor oil. Now it's easier for that castor oil to dislodge that stuff because it's been primed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And after that, you take your binders, which is Dr. Moore's makes GI Broom, Spirit of Health makes their own version, generic version called GI Sweep, or you can just take clay, charcoal, and psyllium husk, same thing, take it, put it in water, drink it with a full glass of water before bed, and it's going to move your you know,
Lymph.
stuff out. Now,
Yeah.
when you're taking binders, you have to make sure that you're having at least 2-3 bowel movements a day because binders can constipate you. Right? So, yeah.
Ivana, when you were talking about the vagus nerve in general and
Yeah.
Sally's case in particular, there are two topics here. You were talking about grounding, improving the nervous system, helping the nervous system out, and sun exposure too. And the second thing is, in Sally's case, you're talking about probiotics. So, does grounding improve the probiotics in our body? Is there any direct relation
It
between these
can,
two?
some, yes, because if you're barefoot, because some microorganisms, soil-based organisms will get in through the skin, but it's not enough. And the thing about probiotics is that they have to be strain specific for specific things, not just whatever, you know what I mean? I have shown this to people before. I did a webinar on binge eating,
Okay.
biochemistry of binge eating.
Probiotic.
I will tell you the strains that you want. Well, specifically the B. longum and the L. rhamnosus are the two that are specifically for the vagus nerve. But there are others that are also for depression, for anxiety, for just general mental well-being. And you have the B. infantis, B. lactis, L. brevis, L. plantarum, B. animalis, and L. helveticus. There's another one I recommend. This is for people who have cravings or who have problems with binge eating. Is L. gasseri is another strain that's really good for that. It helps regulate appetite.
Okay.
And probiotics are only part of the equation. You also need to take herbs that help you produce serotonin and or dopamine. And some people are deficient in dopamine, they don't have enough, or some people are deficient in serotonin, some people are deficient in both. But those would be adrenal herbs. Those would be herbs like hops flowers, like mucuna dopa would be for more for dopamine, Saint John wort, burdock root, wild yam. So because now you also have to provide body with the raw materials that it can use to make serotonin from, so you feel good. And serotonin also regulates appetite and cravings and addictions. People who were treated with probiotics were able to give up their addiction, because there was a study. Those alcoholics that went to rehab did not receive probiotics, relapsed almost immediately. So there is a very strong link between our gut microbiome and our mental state. And how gut communicates with the brain is through the vagus nerve.
Okay.
The bacteria sends, when you have a craving, a lot of the times, it's not you who's having a craving. It's your residents. If
Okay.
you have proteolytic bacteria that like meat and you're craving meat, it's not you who's having a craving for meat. It's the tapeworm. If you're craving sugary stuff or sweet stuff, it's your fungus. If you're craving cheese, that's who wants that. It's not you who wants it. So you're constantly getting communications from them. And a lot of the times they're the ones that end up making the decision for you. And you just go along. So it's important to understand the mechanism behind it, what's involved. And so, with the rampant antibiotic use, our microbiomes have been decimated. And sometimes you need a little help.
But yes, whatever the information you have given is really helpful. But I have been a sun gazer, improving 10 seconds a day. I've been And now I'm looking at the sun for around 35 minutes. Isn't it a natural booster of serotonin and oxytocin or dopamine?
Yes, but it may not be enough.
May not be enough.
You understand when you have other problems going on, when you have acids chewing on you and you're inflamed, sun gazing simply is not enough. I'm sorry. Like if you look at Sally's problems, sun gazing is going to help her mood. It's great for vitamin D because vitamin D, you need that for nerve function. You need it for a lot of, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's great, but is it going to solve her problem? No. It also depends where you are. You understand? If you're in a fairly good condition, that may be all you need to do. Earthing. There's a great movie, free movie on YouTube. It's called Earthing. And they show you evidence where you know, just literally putting your feet on the ground barefoot completely releases an inflammation out of your body, where they hook you up to a thermogram and they take pictures of you and there's all this inflammation, and then you go and you walk around for a couple of minutes barefoot, and all of a sudden all of those red hot spots go away.
Yes, I did watch
Very,
that.
very important. So the idea is incorporate as many things as you can,
Okay.
because most of them are going to have a limited scope of influence. So you want to sort of diversify, like it's a portfolio. You know, you want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Make sure you cover all the bases. But
Okay.
diet is always number one. You cannot, sorry, I don't care what people say, you cannot be healthy while you're eating. Now, you may not be feeling it because you may have strong genes. You understand? You may have strong genetics where your body can take a beating, so you're not feeling it yet. That's a different story. But are you getting energy from it? Absolutely not. Anyway, look up Carillion photography pictures of food and look up organic versus conventional. The difference in energy output. We are energetic electrical beings. We don't live off of calories. What is a calorie? Calorie is, I don't even understand why it's even relevant. What calorie means is how much energy is needed to heat up a kilo of water. What does boiling water have anything to do with how, like, I don't even understand. Maybe I'm too stupid or too dense to get it. Has nothing to do with it. Our cells are powered by electricity. And if you have energetic sensitivity and you can tune in to different consciousness of things, how, you know, one fruit has a completely different consciousness, or a tree, like you tune into this tree energetically and it calms you down. You tune into that tree and it invigorates you. It makes you energized. So it's consciousness that we consume. When you are consuming cooked food, even if it's plant food, it has 0 angstrom, has nothing in it. It has nothing to give. You're eating dead food. You might as well eat rocks. Actually, rocks are actually more nutritious. Why? Because rocks at least have inert minerals in them. A piece of dead flesh has absolutely nothing except rot. You're consuming garbage. You're putting stuff in your body that's just going to clog it up. Your body gets nothing out of it. I mean, and if you think about that and how the majority of people eat, it's only a testament to how miraculous the human body is, that we can feed it no nutrition, that we can abuse it and it still keeps going. It's unbelievable if you think about it. Just imagine what it can do if you actually feed it energy, feed it high vibration, how well you'll be doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vana, I wanted to ask something really short, whether about cayenne pepper, whether it has
Yes.
any astringent or detoxifying qualities, let's say, whether it makes sense to add some cayenne pepper to this concoction of grape juice and lemon juice and ginger, or not?
You have to be careful. Anything, and I talked about this in earlier today, anything that's really spicy is going to overtax your nervous system. Anything that's spicy produces mucus. So a little bit can get the juices flowing, but you overstimulate the mucosa, now you're making excess mucus. And the idea is we want to get mucus out, not to make more of it. You see what I mean?
Mm.
So a good type of spiciness or degree of spiciness or hotness is ginger. That's a good example. Like that's a good sort of level to work
Mm.
with of
Okay.
astringency.
Okay.
Cayenne pepper, in some cases, you recommend it because it's vasodilator. So people who have really poor circulation, and you can apply it topically, you know, it gets things moving, absolutely, but you don't want to overdo it because then you're creating mucus.
Mm.
And
Even
what
if
we're trying to do is we want to get rid of mucus because it's choking us.
yeah, even while applying it externally, it creates mucus, or only internally.
Internally, well, it can, like, it will just irritate the skin, so it will be a defense. There's mucus is a defense against an irritant, right?
Okay.
Body's
Yeah.
trying to create a protective layer against an offending irritant.
Yeah.
That's why we create mucus. When you take a little bit of it, it irritates you enough to sort of shake up the old mucus, but you don't want to take so much that now you're creating more mucus on top
Yeah.
of the old. You see what I'm
Got
saying?
it. Yeah, 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 absolutely.
So
Absolutely
what we
makes
want
sense.
to do with lymph is hydrate it, not stimulate it.
Mm. Okay.
You want to
Yeah.
hydrate your mucosa rather than stimulate it. And things like cayenne pepper are stimulating.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take a few more questions, because actually we will have to wrap it up quite soon because we are above 2 hours and a half already. But
Yeah.
let's take some.
I forget what Connie asked 2 questions. I remember one of them, but I don't remember what the other one was. Oh, she talked about Tinea versicolor, which is fungus on the skin. One of the easiest things to get rid of. So easy. Make yourself, you know, a little bit of an oil mix. You can use either coconut oil or you can use grapeseed oil. And about for 2 ounces, I would use maybe 15 drops of oregano oil and 15 drops of tea tree oil. And when it's melted, mix it really well. And then you apply it on the skin the way you would lotion or ointment, a real thin layer. Now, what you can also do is get some dragon's blood and add it to your, you know, soap, whatever you use to wash the skin. And when you, you know, wash the areas that that has fungus on it, just let it sit there for at least, you know, a couple of minutes. And when you wash it off, then apply your coconut oil with oregano and tea tree oils in it. And it's going to be gone in no time. Super easy to get rid of. Anything else? We have any questions here? Oh, we have some questions. Watermelon, melon juice, excellent. Love it. Great for blood pressure. Lots of amino acids, building amino acids, vitamin C. Nothing bad I can say about watermelon. Fungal infection in toenails, same thing. But when it's in toenails, it's more systemic. So you have to go on a parasite cleanse. You have to take some herbs or oils to kill the systemic fungus. And of course, to do that, you must stay away from fungal foods. And this includes fermented foods. Understand that fermentation, be it sauerkraut, I don't care what it is going to feed fungus. And the more you feed it, the more it multiplies. So keep that in mind when you're trying to get rid of fungus. And fungus can be really pervasive and can be, you know, challenging to deal with. Hey, Ravita.
Okay, just it's not about health, but like collagen in your face to build up the hair. It's more about cosmetics and like what's good for the.
Nothing works better than detox and fasting. And it's been 4 years now. And I've had a hard time, and I've talked about this, rebuilding my lower body, muscles of my lower body. Like I have not had a butt in years, which has been like really disappointing to me. And the other day I was walking past a mirror. I was like, wait a minute, what is that back there? I was like, am I growing an ass again? And the interesting thing is I wasn't doing anything I wasn't working out. My diet didn't change. So the point is, when you free up the body from garbage enough, it will restore itself. You don't have to do anything special for it. That's the beauty of it. You just need to get it clean enough, and it will do. Like, I was shocked. It used to be such a struggle. Like, I would work so hard working out and taking alfalfa, and I would get a little bit of projection, and then I go a dry fast and it's all gone. And I'm like, and I gotta start over again. And eventually I stopped bothering. I was like, whatever. I just let it go. It's over. You know, your best days are behind you. But now when I look behind me, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's coming back. So the idea is, when your body is functioning well, you're eliminating your alkaline, it will build everything. Another thing that happened was that people, this was more recent, a few months ago, what's due to your face? You have cheeks. And I was like, I put weight on. And people are like, yeah. And I used to be, you know, you go through these phases. When I first started, I used to look like a 3-day-old corpse. Like, people were even afraid to tell me. It wasn't until I got a little better, they were like, oh my God, thank God you're starting to look better. Because I was really worried about you. You look really bad, you know? So as you detox, it's going to happen. Now, one of the things you can do you know what microneedling is? So you can buy a device that has these tiny little needles on it, and they come in different lengths. Now, to rebuild collagen, the length of the needle needs to be at least 1.5 millimeters, because it has to puncture deep enough. So what you do, and you can look this up on YouTube.
What is it called? What is it called again?
Microneedling.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a roller thing that has needles on it. And what you do, you roll it over your face, you puncture. What you do is you create micro punctures, you create damage. And when you create damage in your skin, the body now rushes to rebuild, to build new collagen. And the reason you have to have a long enough needle for this is that how skin cells work is that new collagen, new skin cells are created at the bottom level, right, of the dermis. And then those cells sort of, they move up to the surface as the surface cells, dead cells are removed. So those cells need to travel up. But the cells that you want are created really at that level that needs to be at least 1.5 millimeters deep. And another thing you can do, once you have you make these punctures where you roll it all over your face, every which way, deep, you're going to be bleeding, it's going to be painful. And then what you do is you apply dragon's blood. Dragon's blood is excellent for wound healing, and it's used in skincare for collagen production and such. And then you also should be taking things like alfalfa leaf juice, because it's rich in amino acids, it's a builder, it's a connective tissue builder, right? So you do that, and then you can use a little gizmo like this I showed you. This is an electric device, and what it does, it exercises basically the muscles of your face. So you use it in an upward motion, and it provides electrical stimuli so that muscles don't hang, basically, that they don't get loose. So these are some of the things you can do.
Okay, and be raw vegan.
Yes. And listen, it gets better. Like, if I got my ass back, you can do anything. Like, I said goodbye. I had a little funeral. I was like, I accepted it. I was like, this is what it is. And lo and behold, this literally, I got this like 2 weeks ago. I was like, holy crap. And I'm doing absolutely nothing. No working out other than walking around. That's it. And the body is filling out.
And and vegetables is okay, not just fruit.
Yes, well,
Tomatoes.
vegetables are builders. They're connective tissue builders. They're bone builders.
Tomatoes are okay, avocados.
Tomatoes very sparingly, avocados sparingly, you know. Tomatoes are acidic, they're nightshades. They have naturally occurring toxic compounds. And if you do eat tomatoes, they must be organic because the tomatoes are heavily treated with pesticides, conventional tomatoes. So there's a lot of problems with tomatoes. Listen, I love tomatoes. Like people think, you know, I have clients and they get mad at me. You don't want me to have any. I'm like, I don't care what you do. Like they get upset at me because I said don't eat salt. Like,
No, it's not personal.
It's not personal. I said, do you not think I want to eat salt? I said I would freaking love it if there was an alternate universe where salt was okay for you. At least neutral, if not good for at least neutral, but it isn't. And I know this because after I stopped eating salt, consuming it, my health went on the up and up. And I freaking love salt. Like if it were really okay or harmless to eat salt, I would buy myself a salt lick and carry it with me everywhere. But that's not reality. So it's not that people think that I'm trying to punish them. I mean, I don't. I'm trying to tell you what I know works, what I tried works, and I know salt does no good to anybody. Sorry. As much as I freaking love it, I wish it were different, but it's not.
But that's the point of
it is what it is.
That's the point of tomatoes. You know, these small tomatoes, cherry
Yes,
tomatoes.
yes.
There, it's
So
that's
listen, I
salt.
love them. I love tomatoes. Freaking love tomatoes.
But
They
that's
don't want
natural.
that. And people who
natural
have
salt.
histamine problems, people who have liver problems, histamine sensitivities, stay away from. If you have skin problems, you have eczema, dermatitis, stay away from it. Because your skin is not going to like it. You're going to have very angry outbreaks. You're going to be itchy. You're going to be burning. It's just what it is. People think that I'm doing it to them. Like, if you want to eat tomatoes, eat, but then don't complain to me that your skin is coming off. You can't have it both ways, you know?
Lana, look,
See?
tomato heaven. This is my salt fix. This is my salt fix. I find that on
Yeah,
food,
that's
I
right.
like salt. So I
Best
just,
that's
for
right.
me, salt-wise, juice celery with a full lemon or lime. And if you want, maybe even two, and add a little parsley juice by juicing a little parsley. Oh my God, it's like, I'm salivating just talking about it. Salt heaven.
Yeah, lemon is a good substitute.
Celery with lemon or lime, but you have to put a good amount and a little bit of like maybe half a bunch of parsley leaf juice it.
I love parsley leaf juice.
It,
Yes.
it adds that savoriness and that sort of flavor that just takes it to another level. And I just like, like that really does it. Even better than tomatoes, honestly. You do that and trust me, try that and you will love it.
Could you tell me the brand name of the device? Because I looked on both Amazon.com and CA and I can't find it. But if I can have the name.
I'm gonna have to pull this up. Let me go.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So it's called ACU Point Pan Electropuncture Massager. And
No, the one that you had in your hand.
oh, this.
Yeah.
This is a no brand. Like I've had this for so many years. The one that's like a brand name is called New Face.
Okay.
So it's modeled after that. This is a bootleg, but it works. You know what I mean? There are other things that you can use, but this is a no name, nothing. But it usually looks like that because you need the negative and positive polarities, and it has a little switch here that lets you adjust the intensity of electricity, right? And you can use this, you know, to even stimulate your lymph nodes when you have really congested lymph nodes at a low frequency. That's something that it can be used for as well.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have just a moment. Okay, we have a few more questions now. Someone is asking, could you please talk about all the different teeth issues? But I just wanted to say that we had the whole webinar about that, and it's recorded. and
Yep.
more than 2 hours of information.
Yeah.
It's Aidan O'Brien is asking, so just go to the
Just
channel
refer back
of,
to the video. Yep.
yeah, you will find lots of information. Then there's someone is asking what to do about acne, if you how to get rid of acne from Bahi.
To clean your lymphatic system. Your skin is your third kidney. When you have stuff coming out through your skin, it's because your kidneys are blocked. Now, some skin issues are related to the liver. That would be psoriasis, eczema, and stuff like that. But acne, that's just your lymph, stagnant lymph that has nowhere to go, and it's coming out through the skin.
Good. Then Svetlana is asking, I had spasms of the throat on day 3 of dry fast. Have break it. That's what she says. Any ideas? Maybe she means I have to
That
break
is
it.
definitely a vagus nerve issue. So when that happens, try doing the exercises that we talked about today.
Okay, guys. So thank you very much. So before we wrap it up, because we are almost 3 hours now, Asha, you posted some questions in the group. Would you like to ask? There is a woman named Asha here. Basically, one of her question was if you have any information how to deal with like in case someone contracts COVID in terms of fasting and other alternative methods.
You
What
can
would
go
they
on a
do?
dry fast. Well, it depends. If you cannot breathe, you see COVID sort of has a range of symptoms. So it depends. If you have problems breathing, then water fast would be better. Because some people I know, I had some friends, they had gastrointestinal issues, and they had, body aches and headaches and stuff like that. Now, if you're having gastrointestinal issues, take your binders, your charcoal, your clay, and stuff like that to move that stuff out of the system. Sweating, lots of sweating. When you are in that situation, you want to sweat as much as possible to get the toxins out through the skin. Yeah.
Good. Okay, guys, does anyone else have any more questions before we wrap it up?
And in terms of spasms, one more thing, Dr. Morse has a spasm calm antispasmodic formula. I think lobelia is one of so really like relaxing herbs. If you're having spasms, it's going to help with that. And general spasms, some people will have spasms in their, muscles. That is loss of potassium.
Okay. And then Noah is asking, do you have any experience with Mimosa pudica seed by Microbe Formulas?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, Ivan, and last question, we got it in the group. She's asking, for the obese person like me, what would be the best and healthiest way to do a long fast? I'm willing to do a very long fast for 75 days. I want to do this as a combination of soft dry fasting and water fasting. So what's your advice on that? I am 105 kilo in weight. I want to lose weight as well as I want to improve my mind's clarity. So it's more like some kind of a
Well, I
general
would
question.
not, first of all, I would not recommend that anybody attempt to do a 75-day water fast in combination with dry fast. Okay, especially if you have weight issues, that tells me that you don't have a good healthy foundation to go into an extended fast like that. That's one. All right. Two, you're not going to be able to do it, so you're not going to be able to sustain it. My recommendation would be to go on a juice feast instead, and then 2 days out of the week do a dry fast. So all week long you're drinking juices, bowel cleansing juices. Like I said, be very intentional with the juices that you take into your body. And when you are cleansing your bowels, half of your juices need to come from vegetables, and half of them have to come from fruits. Don't mix them together, obviously, but vegetables are intestinal scrubbers, fruits are not. So 5 days out of the week, you are drinking juices only, solid food vacation. The other 2 days, you're dry fasting. And as Filanov said, on the dry fasting days, you're walking 10 kilometers. You're going to drop weight like this. Not only that, This is not about dropping weight. This is, if you want to really maintain a healthy weight, you have to change your lifestyle. This is not about going on a fast for a certain period of time, losing weight, and then going back to eating processed food. That's not sustainable. You have to have a shift in consciousness and how you see your body, how you see what healthy is for the body. If you go at least all plant-based, you know, and if you reduce starches, even if you're doing cooked, you're going to drop weight. Somebody who weighs 150, and was it 50 or 105?
Oh, 105.
This tells me this person eats everything, and probably has adrenal issues, has thyroid issues. So you also need to support your glands, right? You need to support your digestion. And a person like that will also be severely malabsorbed. So if she goes raw, or he, I don't know what it is, they go raw, even if they don't go on juices, they're gonna drop weight like crazy. And then they're gonna be like, wait, I wanted to stop. Because when you're malabsorbed, all of that is gonna go. And it's gonna go quickly. But don't look at this as a diet. Make this a lifestyle change for a better, healthier you.
Very good, Ivan. And when you say fasting twice a week, do you mean in a
Dry.
row, dry fast in a row, 2 days in a row, or not? Or
So
separately?
it depends. If you're a beginner, do it. You can have a break. Of course, it's more effective if they're back to back, obviously, because it takes a certain amount of time for certain processes to be initiated in the body. But a person who may be just beginning, it's okay for them to do it. Start with 1 day a week if that's all you can do. If you're doing all juices 6 days a week and 1 day you're doing dry fasting, you're still doing great.
And greens are good, right? Lettuce and celery and parsley.
Yes,
Baby
the
leaves.
ones the ones you mentioned, yes. Mhm. I'm not a fan of kale. Nothing, certain, kales and spinaches, nightshades also have high thiol levels. They're sulfurs. This is going to irritate your system. You want to stay away from anything that's sulfur, any cruciferouses, anything like that.
Onions and garlic.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so fruit and greens.
Look, if you have no health issues, you understand you're not dying, your body's working fine, go have as many vegetables as you want. Even kale, I don't care. But if you are dealing with detox, then you really need to be mindful about what you put in your body, because not all plants are created equal. And they may have negative repercussions. Anything that's sulfur in, if you have sulfur in your body, it's going to interact with the sulfur. You're going to feel bloated. You're going to feel horrible. So it's not worth it.
Okay, guys. So
thank you.
We're going to wrap it up, and Ivana, I will ask you our standard questions in our standard question in what I usually ask you in our webinars. Please tell us a little bit about the services that you provide or you may provide for the people who are interested.
Yeah. Arik, I'm at my battery's at 1%. Let me get the cable before everything goes dark here.
Okay.
Everybody. Hold
okay.
on.
Okay. Yeah, I know we have a few more questions, but we really need to wrap it up, and we'll probably arrange another webinar so that we can
extend. Anybody drink distilled water there? Does Ivana drink distilled water?
I don't drink distilled water. You can, as long as it doesn't come in a plastic
no, I make it myself.
jug. That's fine. Or you can do filtered water if it's a really good filtration system, reverse osmosis. I'm not a big water drinker. I only really use water if I'm brewing teas. I hardly use it.
Yes, animals. I use it for animals.
Or that, yes. I usually just drink juices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Sally also wants to ask one last question. Okay, Sally, please go on.
Thank you so much, Arik. And just one last question of Anna, was just to say, he was mentioning the vaccines, and I've had one vaccine because I was kind of, like Ravi said, we're being quite forced into things here in the UK as well. I've had one vaccine, but haven't had the other one, and it did make me so ill, the vaccine. So do you advise that I really put my foot down and say no to the second, or with my current state of health?
Look, I'm not comfortable making recommendations. Don't do this. It's up to you. I can tell you what I would do. I would not do it. You can do whatever you want. I would not do it. I would go into cleaning my body and detoxing. That's what I would do. But I also am not of the mind that getting a vaccine is terminal. The body is amazing. We understand so little. Somebody say you can't detox this out when you don't actually know what it is that you can't say you can't detox that unless you have all the information about what it is and what it does in the body. And nobody knows what it is. There's speculation, there's guesses. So I am of the mind that anything is changeable and subject to local conditions. There are only 5 laws in the universe that are constant. The laws of existence, of creation. You exist, what you put out, you get back. Everything is here now. Everything changes except the first laws. That's it. Everything else is changeable and adjustable. It's a matter of perspective. Even things like 5G, there are frequencies like the Schumann frequency that can actually reorganize the 5G frequency to neutralize it. So everything can be worked around. I don't like to box myself or anybody else into a belief system, because everything is a belief system. Outside of those laws, everything is a belief system. It's an opinion. If you accept it as your reality, it will become your reality. Understand that you're powerful. You are the creator in a physical body. And yes, you're limited by gravity and time, space, but other than that, you really have quite a bit of freedom in what you create. And creator is a very intelligent force. And the body that was created, everything else is created, it's just mind-blowing how everything works. I don't put my trust in doctors. I put my trust in the creator. That there's always, it's like in hacking, there's always a back door. Nothing is, final, nothing is irreversible. There's always a loophole, there's always a back door, there's always a way, as long as you are open-minded, your consciousness is open enough to be able to perceive it. So, my advice to you is don't focus on the negative aspect of it. It happened. There's always a learning reason for everything that we do. Ask yourself what you learned, disengage from it, and move on, and focus on rebuilding. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm truly, truly grateful to you.
Remember, people, this has been proven by science now. We all have genes in our DNA that can regrow limbs. You literally can lose your legs and arms, and your body can grow new ones. It's just that we have bogged down our DNA so much that those genes are turned off. And what's going to turn them on is, increasing our frequency. So this is a very fluid thing, DNA, RNA, all of that. RNA is not human DNA anyway. It's bacterial, right? So who cares?
Thank you.
You created all of this. You created everything you perceive, literally. Everything is your own creation, because universe only exists between your ears. There's no subjective place outside of you, out there, where we all live. That's not what reality is. This is quantum physics. You are the energetic epicenter that emits energetic vibration, which contains information. And that information is translated when that energy interacts with the physical dimension, with the fabric, with the density of the physical dimension. That information is solidified and is translated into people, events, objects, and so on. But you are the epicenter. You're literally the center of your universe. When people say the world doesn't revolve around you, baloney. It not only does it, you are the world. That's it. And everybody else in your world is only an aspect of you. You're the boss. So if you want to create reality, you know how it is. Think about all the things where we thought we had this information, and then we used to have information that was scientific information that once you lose a brain cell, once the brain cell is destroyed, that's it, it's over. You can't make more brain cells. Well, fast forward a couple of decades, well, wait a minute, we were wrong. Turns out it actually is not true. You can't create new brain cells. The brain actually remodels itself all the time. So everything is relative. Today, it might seem like this vaccine, that's it. Put a fork in me, bury me under the tree over there. I made it just as give up on everything. Baloney. Wait, 10 years down the road, oh, it turns out it's not true. So everything is relative. Everything is constantly changing and shifting.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you very much. Very, very inspiring and uplifting. Okay, Ivana, so please tell us a little bit about the services that you provide or you may provide for the people who are interested, and then we are going to wrap it up.
All righty. So I am a detox coach. I am in the business of emotional healing, of energy healing, of channeling. I teach people how to reclaim control of their life, how to stop being afraid, as I'm still learning myself, how to stop being afraid at times, which is a bit of a fun challenge sometimes. But if you see it that way, it's also scary to get up on a roller coaster, but when you come down, you go, oh, I can't wait to do it again. So it's the same thing, right? So what I do is I basically help people get to their best life, whatever that means for them. I help them sort of get rid of the obstacles that they have created for themselves that are keeping them from having the type of life that you want, be it on the physical level, if they're dealing with physical issues or symptoms, whether it's on the emotional level, if they're maybe feeling stuck, they're stuck in a belief system where they have defined their world from a very limited point of view. So what I do is I show them an alternative. I show them a different way. I point to them their blind spots so they can see opportunities rather than limitations. And so they can get to a place where I want to be. So if they're at point A, they want to be here and they don't know how to get there. My superpower is one, I can get information. This is something I'm so good, I'm actually proud of it. Like, I'm the kind of person I beat myself up over everything, but if there's something I want to find out, some kind of piece of knowledge, I will find it. I am like a greyhound. People have asked me on YouTube, how do you know that? How does this come to you? I get downloads, like stuff with teeth. People go, I've had problems with teeth for so long and I've been researching and I couldn't find any of this. Well, when you align yourself with the vibration of the information, it comes to you. I actually get downloads where it's spelled out in front of me. I see it in big, bold letters. And then I go and I start researching, like with the teeth. The information came to me, my guides gave me metals, heavy metals and teeth. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I go and Google, and holy crap, look at that. There's a bunch of studies have been done on this. But if you just go and Google stuff like, oh, why are my teeth breaking down in detox? You're not going to get the answer. So you have to know how to look. So I know how to find things out. So I may not be the smartest or the brightest, but I know how to find stuff. And I'm tenacious. And if once I get something in my head, I will find it. Like the stuff with the sleeping on the dry fast. Whatever it is, I will find you a solution. if you're willing, I will work with you until you get where you want to be.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Ivana. So we'll put your contact details below the video. Guys, please feel free to contact Ivana and continue on her paid services. We have
Yeah,
Sure,
and
we love
if
you,
you
Ivana.
and if you go to the link of the teaser video that I posted in the group, that's going to take you to my YouTube channel, which is going to show you how to get to my website where you can contact me and see more about my services and see more of my own YouTube channel, which has additional videos that are not in the fasting group channel.
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess they are regarding different spiritual matters.
Yes, it's a mixed bag. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so we are going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for everyone who was present. Thank you very much, Ivana. It was absolutely mind-blowing and amazing. I look forward to having you again. So we'll definitely keep in touch about that. And yeah, just from the depth of my heart, thank you so, so much. And for you guys,
Thank you all for showing up and participating and socializing and exchanging energies.
We love you,
Absolutely.
Ivana.
Thank you so much, guys. Love you. Take care.
Yeah,
Thank you.
love and
Thank
light
you.
to everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.